Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 35 of the Thunder Gals. We're
Yeah,
closing in on that 52 for a year, getting closer
working
to
on it.
it.
We're
So,
on we're closer to 52 than we were back in October.
right here we are. It is fully into the off season now. The We are recording on Thursday night. Today, the Knicks had their championship parade. Millions of people
Hmm.
in the streets of New York celebrating like our Thunder fans were doing just about a year ago at this time. And,
Yeah,
congrats to the Knicks. Great season. And hopefully we can get another one of those parades, maybe this time next year again.
maybe so. We'll see. But yeah, it's been fun to watch, all of the Knicks excitement from because it's been so many years. What did they say? 53?
53. It's the
53?
first championship of theirs in my lifetime.
A lot of people's lifetimes. So
Yeah. So
pretty neat to see the enthusiasm out there. I think they said that um that out of all the people that had come in from all the boroughs and everything, like traffic was at a standstill. I mean, like it was just insane. And so I can imagine all the people on the island because comparing to what was in Oklahoma City, what we've got 4 million people in Oklahoma City, through the census. And I think that they said that we had like half a mil throughout the parade. So, I mean, comparatively, there's a lot of people that get a lot of joy from watching their team parade through their city.
absolutely. Yeah, I think I saw anywhere between 500 and 800,000 for OKC last year, and
Yeah.
estimates I saw for New York today were over 2 million. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's truly magnificent amount of people both times, like you said, in Oklahoma being a state of 4 million or so people, like, half a mil to three-quarters of a million, that's a lot of population percentage wise that showed up last year. So maybe even more so than like in New York where they have like 17 million in the metro area, I think. So
You had
so
frozen
yeah.
for a second. So anyway, but yeah, so just the sheer number of people that were happy today is just it's great. So congrats to the Knicks. Hell of a season.
Omar, if you're listening, congrats, man. Your team finally did it. Glad you got to
Lex,
feel this feeling.
I know the Lexi was just over the moon with all the work that she had done with them. It just our Knicks friends, that it's great for them. I'm not
Great.
bitter at all.
Well,
Not at all.
maybe a little bit.
Okay, little bit. But I am glad that the team that I preferred in the finals won the finals. That's all I'll say.
There we go. There we go.
But I kept
As
busy.
lifelong slash this series
Yep, as a
New
lifelong this
York Knicks
series Knicks
fan.
fan, them Knickerbockers in my blood.
Hey,
This
they have a similar color scheme to the Thunder.
I
So
know. I saw some neat Knicks tennis shoes, and I was like, you know,
they
it's really close.
they're close, different shades, but not too far off.
Mm-mm.
Um,
No, and since I still can't get the J-Dub sneaks, it's like, well, let me find some other ones. So,
Now speaking of J-Dub,
yes.
you went to go see the premiere of Baseline at the
Yeah.
deadCenter Film Festival this past weekend. Tell
Hmm.
us a little bit about your experience, Paula.
Well, as you know, we're big fans of, Oklahoma City Thunder Films. And they have their own film department and they make these behind the scenes, you know, insights into their team. And this year was, I think they said it was their ninth collaboration with the deadCenter Film Festival. And it was held down at the Contemporary Arts Building. And I got my son was volunteering at deadCenter. So I was like, Mom's gonna catch a ride. And so I ended up being the first one in the building for to see the movie, which is unsurprising for me to be anywhere with a for a Thunder thing. So, but there was this really nice couple that came in not long after me. They were an older couple, and their son works for Thunder Vision for the Thunder itself with the organization. And so they were here and they're season ticket holders and they got in line behind me and they have, I just want to give them a shout out. It was Barb and Dwayne, and they have a YouTube channel called Babs and Bob, the Chicago voice of the Thunder. And what they do is they do these little clips and reviews of Thunder games, their experiences at the game. They're from Chicago, so they put on their Chicago accent, and it's really it's like if you're old enough to remember Saturday Night Live with the old Bears skits, the Bears, well, it's basically the Thunder, and they are just an adorable couple, and so I immediately subscribed. I was like, "Look, I'm in." So, but Barb was so funny because she is very protective of her place in line, and there was not going to be anybody else that was going to get in our way before we got in there. And there was different station points, but we got in, and so we got into the second row. There was a couple of reserve seats, and I was letting the family go. And so I was probably midway in, and Barb leans over and she's like, "You came in before us. You should be sitting closer to the aisle." I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine." She was like, "Move." And she told her son to move. And I was like, I'm sorry. I can't argue with moms.
Right.
But
You
it
just
worked
got to do
out.
it at
You
that
do.
point.
You just, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it worked because I got to sit directly behind Paris Lawson and Nick Gallo, broadcast the team from the Thunder, and I tried really hard not to fangirl, and it did not work in any way, shape, or form. So I had the opportunity to chat with both Paris and Nick and have my picture taken because they were so kind to let me. And it was just really interesting to hear their perspective, especially because there was a Q&A afterwards that talked about the film. Now, the film itself was behind the scenes from high school for J-Dub, Kasem Wallace, and Chet. And the guys, according to the Q&A, the guys did not know what they were seeing. They did not know that the clips had been collected until they got in the room individually and they started the film. And so when you see their reactions during this documentary, they're legit. They did not know. They were like, "Where did you get that? I hadn't even seen that. I don't know where that came from." And it was talking about their journey, what led them and things like that. And one of the most interesting things, and they've got it on their YouTube channel now. It premiered at deadCenter. It's on their YouTube. But one of the most interesting things to me was J-Dub. J-Dub plays exactly the same as he did in high school. When
Right?
he goes left, he goes left. When he goes right, when he's driving, I mean, and they put up images next to each other. The work that he put in getting here is the same. Like he put the work in and it's paid off. And it's just so fun to watch. And Chet, I talk about him being lanky now. That boy and his twig legs, he could do a straight up jump onto these mat. I mean, it's just interesting to see the beginnings of where they are. And Queso, he wasn't coming out as a defender when he first started. He
No,
was a guard when he first started.
he was driving to the basket. He was
Oh
like
yeah.
very much like the engine of his offense in high school, it looked like.
Yeah. And so for him then to move and to incorporate more defensive things, it just made his game grow. And it's just really interesting, to watch them reflect on the hard work. And it really showed Samuel picks for players and personality. Skill, yes, but there has to be a good fit for the team and the culture. And that was one thing J-Dub said, he's still friends with people that he grew up with. Like, it's just always interesting if you want to see backstory and where players come from. Again, we love to see the whole player and not just the on-court personality. And if you get a chance, definitely go check out Baseline on the Oklahoma City Thunder's YouTube page.
Yeah, I checked it out today. It's only like 20 minutes long, so it's not a
Yeah.
huge time investment. But yeah, you're right. It was totally fun watching them react in real time. Like, what am I looking at here? Like, oh my gosh, like where did these clips come from?
Yes. So funny. And on a somber note, they did follow it up by showing the Oklahoma Standard, which is iHeart and the Hartenstein Foundation, their movie about the bombing and the city's recovery and his introduction to, what happened here in the community. And it was always we had already seen it. You and
Yeah,
I had already seen it, but you could tell the people there, it was a lot of them hadn't seen it. So there
yeah.
was a lot of emotion.
Yeah, and that one it really struck me. It's easy to forget how like most of our players were not born when that happened. So, that the memorial when they come join the team really is like the first oftentimes they're really learning a lot about that event. So, I'm sure that was just even more interesting to see that on a bigger screen than just on like my YouTube. All right, well, you're kind of back. Now you're back fully.
I took it off Wi-Fi. It's hotspot on my phone. It shouldn't be an issue. We'll see.
All right. So you did get to talk to Nick and Paris a bit. I know I met Paris before a few years ago, and she just was fantastic to talk to. I haven't met
Yes.
Nick. Did you like throw some stuff on his shoulders before he got up to talk or anything?
Well, he was already decked out, so I didn't want to, mess up his kid or anything. But no, I got to talk to her first, and I got to, I'm gonna brag on the Thunder Gals here just for a minute and talk about us because I was talking to Paris and I said she is such an inspiration to us. We've watched her and we've seen what she's done, and we just love the fact that there are women broadcasters and media talking about the Thunder, which we happen to do. And it was really interesting at the screening. There were more women there than men. Now
Hmm.
it was fairly close, but there were more women there than men, which I thought was very interesting. But it shouldn't surprise me because you and I both know that there is an audience, outside of the traditional, 20 something male fans,
Yeah.
which when I was talking to Nick and I was introducing him to the Thunder Gals, he actually acknowledged. I said, when you look at the media that is covering the Thunder, we come from a different perspective because we are not, and he said, you know, younger guys. with podcasts. And I said, exactly. So I just thought that it was a great opportunity to show and to witness and to see how many females were actively engaged and wanting to see this product from the Thunder. So
Yeah,
it was neat.
awesome.
So,
Well, that is so cool. So yes, we do recommend check out Baseline on YouTube. It's definitely worth your 20 minutes. It's a fun little trip down memory lane with the guys. And, it's also was just interesting seeing them in their high school uniforms, sometimes with different numbers. Although Kaysen has worn like the same number all the way through.
yeah,
But
they don't
yeah,
all get the luxury of that, but it is neat.
so that was cool too, seeing them in the different uniforms and different colors and their little baby faces.
My gosh, I was this close to going, they're babies, but I didn't. I was like, because they're just so young. So if you get a chance, please watch it. And if you haven't seen the Oklahoma Standard, please stick on their page, find it, and watch it.
Yeah,
So,
but both of them are great. Definitely worth checking out. Now, in other news,
mhm.
our star player, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, named Time Magazine 100 Most Influential Athletes.
Yes,
Um, he is
pretty
in,
impressive.
it was a category with some other impressive NBA names, such as LeBron James and Stephen Curry, right?
Right. They had him in the Titans category.
Titans, that was it.
Yeah. So they had him with LeBron and Steph Curry. They also, with the World Cup going on, you might recognize the name Lionel Messi. So, and just a whole list of the Titans that have influenced and made changes in the world of basketball and sports and recognition. So they said that what was the one? He isn't just one of the NBA's best players anymore. He's become one of the most influential athletes in the world.
Well, I
And
mean, that's hard to argue that. I
I mean, it
mean,
really is. I mean, he has international recognition and appeal. And you want to talk about an international company? Like, I don't know, Nike has now made a move and has moved Shea over from the Converse family into the Nike family this past week.
yes, and named him one of their signature swoosh athletes,
Mm-hmm.
along with LeBron James and Kevin Durant, which,
Yeah.
it kind of dovetails nicely here in that, I first off, I didn't know until today that Converse has been owned by Nike for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So he's sort of changing companies, but sort of not since they're like same parent company.
Yeah.
But why would Nike want him to be a signature swoosh athlete? Well, because their guys like KD and LeBron are aging, right? Like
Yeah.
those guys, they're closer to the end of their career than they are the beginning. And so they need some newer, bigger names to kind of refresh where the brand is going. I saw the little like video of the Nike swooshes spinning into the
Mhm.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander logo.
Yeah.
So
The
he's
gold going back and
keeping the
forth.
same logo.
Yeah.
So we
I
know
think
that much.
one of the most interesting conversations around all this is what's going to happen to Shay's Converse shoe line. And they haven't announced it yet, but we think it might be kind of an easier shift over to Nike because it's an existing line. I can't
Right.
imagine them dropping it just because he's affiliated on the Nike side. I think there'll be a transition. I can't imagine that. I mean, but they may come out with a whole brand new line. I can't imagine, but
Yeah. The
Shay's gonna,
details are still pretty thin, other than we know he's a signature swoosh athlete. I would expect there will be a debut of some all new Nike shoe with him. I would expect maybe during the regular season, but
oh, I bet an opening night.
I mean that's a lot of push depending on how long this has been in the works. Was this something kind of new or has this been in the works for months? We don't really know. So,
Not yet. More
um,
will come out, but I don't know. I feel like they would want to have the highest impact on opening night. I could just see it. And since it is all under the same umbrella, there might be some leeway or some way to make it work on such a compressed schedule. So,
yeah, there's something to watch. Another storyline we get to watch this summer. And as we get more details on that, we will definitely bring those to y'all.
there's
Uh,
been, I mean, the guys are already back in the gym. I don't know if you saw the video of Shay working out earlier this week. And then photographer, what, Shots by JoJo, who
yes.
takes J-Dub's photos. He had photos of J-Dub back in Arizona in the gym. So, I mean, it's June, but they're not resting. I mean, they're not, or their trip to Cancun was very, very short, and they're already back in the gym.
Yeah, I think they're going to be super motivated going into next season. I think they all felt like they could easily have had a shot at a repeat, and they got a bad
We all
taste in
did.
their mouth
Yeah.
after not even getting back to the finals, and they're gonna come back hungry and with a vengeance. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another 24 and 1 start next season.
You know, as of right now, 82 and 0 is on the table.
82 and 0 is still on the table.
Yep.
So
So I'm pretty excited by that fact right now.
that's right. It's 0 and 0 again now.
Yep. So, but yeah, it's exciting just even just looking ahead, what happens next week, Brett?
So next week we have the NBA draft. Tuesday night is round one, 7 p.m. Central. Round one will be on ABC and ESPN. Different crews work the different channels, so you'll get slightly different coverage depending on which one you watch.
Hmm.
And then round two will be Wednesday night at 7 Central, and that will only be on ESPN. So round one gets the ABC treatment, round two gets ESPN only treatment. And Thunder
So,
have picks 12 and 17 in round one, and pick 37 in round two.
so is first round, does it go to 20 or is it 25? Can't
First
remember.
round goes to 30.
Oh, okay. So it's okay, so it's not
The
evenly
the
divided.
the
Okay.
number of teams.
Well, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Someone should explain this whole basketball thing to me. I'm not real familiar with it yet.
Now
I told you I didn't know.
there have been some rumors this week and that correspond frankly with Sam's exit interview last week. Rumors are from other executives of other teams that the Thunder have been aggressively pursuing potentially trading up in this year's draft into that top 10. So whereas we have picked 12 and 17, could be maybe packaging 12 and 17 to get further up into the top 10, only getting one player. Maybe it's packaging pick 17 and Aaron Wiggins to maybe get into the top 10. We don't know what the offers have potentially been, but we do at least hear some real rumors that that there is some push to maybe get into the top 10. We have no idea what player they're targeting, at that. But the name that has kind of been coming up as somebody they might be targeting is Keaton Wagler, who is went to the University of Illinois. He's a 6'6" guard who's similar to Shea, was actually quite short in high school, was only like 5'8" and didn't
Oh,
start
God.
getting over 6 feet tall till closer to college.
Oh,
And
wow.
so had to develop a game as a shorter player, really relying on his moves and his mid-range game, and then grew into the 6'6" body later. Very similar to Shea, has a very similar kind of shot profile to Shea. So maybe he's somebody who's younger that you bring in and have kind of Shea be his mentor. Maybe he's,
That would be
a
nice.
potential future Shea that,
Hey,
as
you
Shea
know,
gets older, maybe you have the next one in the wings. So that's the name I'm hearing somewhat rumored as to why they might be trying to get into the top 10. He's seen as possibly like a 5 to 8 pick, so not the top four, but in that kind of middle range.
interesting. Talking about executives and what they're doing, I was hearing that there were several that had made the call to Samuel about Chet. And for everybody saying, "Oh, get rid of Chet, get rid of Chet." Well, there's a lot of people calling about him, but Samuel's he's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, no, that my suspicions were confirmed on that. I had no reason to believe the Thunder would be out on Chet, and anybody claiming that he's, garbage because he had one bad series is being a prisoner of the moment, and you cannot judge a player's entire career off of one series. The Thunder certainly wouldn't be the kind of team that would do that. and
Mhm. And it
and
wasn't Samuel making the calls. It was
no,
Sam taking the calls.
I'm sure he got a lot of good data and
I'm sure he
a
did.
lot of good ideas on
He
what
got
players
that
might
board
be
over there.
available
Yeah.
and
And if you think that that doesn't factor into what he's doing this offseason, then y'all have never paid attention to Sam.
yeah. So now for those of you who maybe aren't used to drafts or watching the NBA draft, I do want to share some insight here and prepare you. The draft night trades can happen really fast and like quickly. And the way the rules work around the draft, you might hear if you're following on Threads or Twitter or wherever, whatever social media that you see Shams reports on or whatever, you'll hear about the trade of, Oklahoma City is trading picks 12 and 17 to the Clippers for pick 5 or whatever the case might be. You'll hear that, but then that player that gets selected fifth, they'll still say the Clippers are selecting that player. That player will walk on stage and put on the Clippers hat. And even though from, the reporting online that that pick was traded, because of the rules and the way those trades get approved, they don't get approved that instant, and so they still go put on the hat of the team that has that pick. So be prepared if the Thunder do make some trades. You might see a guy the Thunder pick putting on a different team's hat at first, and
Yeah.
that's just a quirk of the way the trades work on that.
And
So
they don't announce the trade in the ballroom. The only thing that you're hearing in the ballroom and on the broadcast, is the announcement of who's taking them. Everything else kind of filters
yeah.
its way out.
Now they will sometimes announce from the podium like a few picks later, Like, if
Yeah.
that trade happened at pick 5 and then it does officially get approved by the NBA office, by the time the 10th pick is around, sometimes Adam Silver will get up and say, I'm announcing a trade. The 5th pick was actually traded to Oklahoma City. So you'll hear something like that potentially, but it will be after the player has walked across the stage and put on a different hat.
Yeah, because I think weren't we talking about Shea? Shea was picked 11th by the Charlotte Hornets. So
Correct.
all of his draft night photos in that sweet suit that he designed, that floral,
Hmm.
he is wearing the Charlotte Hornets cap.
Yep. Even though he was traded to the Clippers on draft night,
Hmm.
but he was wearing the Hornets hat for a while because the way the draft works, that
Yep.
doesn't all go through. Now I was watching the Locked On NBA Squad show today, and former Thunder player Jeremy Lamb is a recurring guest on that show.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, at least with the draft night trades, like, it's just a hat, like whatever." He's like, "The worst thing was for me." He's like, "I got selected by the Houston Rockets in the draft." Went all summer learning their playbook and doing everything, moving my family to Houston. And then, like a week before the season starts, I get the call that I'm being traded to Oklahoma City, after I just spent 2 months getting moved and working on learning a new place, and then all of a sudden having to like move again.
That's the hardest thing you see with all of these because, it's still the business and everybody's going to move and do and that's why I think you see later players or players further in their career leave their families in one location, especially if they have kids.
Yeah,
And then they'll have a residence in whatever city their team is in, you know.
yeah,
And so, because Chris Paul famously had his family back in LA when he was here, and that was part of how he ended up mentoring Shay and Lou so much because, they're all here and they were hanging out together and they didn't because their family wasn't around.
yeah, exactly. Now Jeremy Lamb did let on though. He was like, "Hey, one other thing I know about Sam Presti, having been in the organization and been traded both to and from Oklahoma City at various points in my career." He said, "Now Sam is the kind of guy who, if you are getting traded, he sits you down ahead of time and he takes into account that the trade isn't just good for the Thunder, but it's good for the player that's being traded out. That
Hmm.
he's not trying to trade any player into a situation that's not going to be befitting of where they are in their career." So he was like, if they do end up trading an Isaiah Joe or an Aaron Wiggins, Sam's going to sit down with them and tell them, "Hey, I've made sure this other team you're going to get playing time. Like, this is going to benefit your career, not just benefit the Thunder." So,
Yeah,
um,
that's one thing we've heard repeatedly from past players is the fact that Sam takes them into consideration. So
yeah,
he's not just trying to dump a contract. He's trying to find a, a fit, a place for their players. Because, with the Thunder legacy, organization that they've put in, the players are part of the Thunder organization from then on. So
yep,
they're going to do what they can to ensure that there's good, you know, that there's good vibes between them.
yeah, exactly. So,
Most of them.
So that's some stuff to watch for. I'm sure, the players as draft day approaches on Tuesday, anybody who might get put in one of those trades is probably getting a phone call from Sam to get a heads up that their name might be popping up in some of these rumors.
Hmm.
He's probably reassuring them as to, what kind of things he'll be looking out for. And the Thunder are famously tight-lipped, so really The only rumors we ever get are the rumors that come out of the executives of other teams.
Hmm.
And you have to take some of that with a grain of salt too, because some of that could be them trying to, play around and create rumors just for their own purposes. So,
Right. Try
so
to manipulate the things.
never
So,
know who's trying to get one over and get some leverage in the narrative. So, that's stuff to look out for. But one thing I do know is Sam's record in the draft, particularly, picks that aren't in the top five.
hmm.
J-Dub was a number 12 pick. AJ Mitchell's second round pick. Aaron Wiggins a second round pick. Lou Dort we picked up undrafted. He didn't even get drafted, and we picked him up after the draft without even having to use a pick on him. So Sam's going to have done his homework. He will know exactly what players he wants, and he'll know exactly what he needs to give up or not give up to make sure he gets the players he wants. So
Yeah.
he won't let some mock draft that you saw on CBSSports.com dictate to him like what players he's looking at.
So are you saying that if I send him a message on Threads saying, I'm going to need you to move this player and get this player, that Samuel's not going to listen to me?
He is not.
Dang it.
I know.
Dang it.
We don't have that power yet, honey, but we're getting there.
I'm working on it. I'm
Hey,
working on
you
it.
got Nick and Paris looking into us, so we're getting there.
BFFs with them now in my mind.
So, hey, by the time we come back to y'all next week, we will know a whole lot more about potential roster for next season because the draft will really tell us a lot about what direction they're looking to go with the team. Because if they pick two players in the first round, that ties their hands to where they almost have to get rid of two players because it's the only first round players under the collective bargaining agreement are guaranteed a contract. And
Yeah.
so you would have to get rid of two players from this year's roster to make that room. So we will know a lot more based on what happens Tuesday night.
Yeah. And before we go, I do want to acknowledge that Nikki T unfortunately did undergo a disc procedure last weekend. So he's going to miss Summer League, which really bums me out since
I
Thomas Sorber's
know.
missing too.
Stuff always happens the day after we record.
But that's okay because that gives us something to look forward to and talk about next time. And
That's
on Thread.
right. You know, but yeah, no Nikki T in Summer League, even though we were just getting excited about that. So I just really feel so bad for him that he just cannot seem to catch a break right now. It's such a tough thing to be trying to start your career and keep having so many setbacks, but if there was a team you'd want to be on to have these setbacks that's going to work with you and try to still help get the best out of you, then this is an organization that's going to do that. So, you
Well,
know,
and Samuel has made it very clear he is very high on Nikki T. And he is supposed to be ready for next season. So
yeah,
we send all of the good, healing vibes that we can. I can only wear your jersey so many days in a row, Nikki, but just know that I'm there in spirit.
we're rooting for you, Nikki T. All right, well, that's all we got for you this week. We'll be watching the draft this coming week, and we'll be back here to talk more about it next week. All right, peace and thunder up, y'all.
Bye.